is critical race theory being shoved in other subjects. I understand. My last point being, because I don't know if there's many people behind me, my last point being, have we looked at other options? I understand that there are some people in the community that want this. I understand the board, some people on the board really do want this. Your community does not want this. The majority of your community does not want this. Have you thought of other options? Because I have a great one for you, and I've thought about this long and hard. There are two ways you can solve your problem. You can keep your state funding. You can do certain bullet points into your, whatever you want to put into your curriculum for health to meet the state standards. Why not do that as a opt-out if you want? Most of us will probably opt out of it and do it at the end of the school year where the kids are pretty much doing nothing, which is, I don't say that lightly, the teachers make it fun for the kids at the end of the year, but why not use that time for the families and the community who really want this for their kids? Put them in the class for a week or 3 days, whatever you think how many days it would take to get this state agenda approved. This way, two things can happen. You can not only get your state funding provided for the people in the community that really want their children to hear about this, but also for the majority of us that don't, it won't be trickled in and out of the school year, all school year. The back and forth between kids, the rhetoric between kids, back and forth, won't happen. Because there will be kids that are going to be learning about it, kids that will not be learning about it. That dialogue between the kids is not fair to either side. If you do this at the end of the school year, 2-3 days or even a week, opt in, opt out, this is the criteria, this is what we're going to present to the community. You then give each family on both opposing sides to then have the entire summer privately in their own homes to do what they want with their kids. You want to talk about it? Fine. Send both parties home with your actual curriculum. Me, I would opt out, but I would take your curriculum and say, let me really look at it myself and see what I would want to take from it. And I know there's a time limit, but I really want you to hear me on that. That is a fair solution. And I feel like it's the only way, because to have this embedded into the school year, the entire year for these kids in and out of classrooms, subbing is going to be an issue. What are you doing with my children who are not in that classroom? And the quality and caliber of subs, I mean, there's articles out now that over 50 teachers in just the state of New Jersey have been brought up on charges because they're underqualified. That's the pool we have now. That is not what we want here.
My name is Kathleen Portman. I live at 46 Russell Road. I've lived in Kinnelon for 38 years and continue to live there. Paid a lot of school taxes over the years. I currently have 6 grandchildren in the system, so I have a personal interest in what they're being taught. But even if I didn't have grandchildren in the school, I would be certainly very interested in where my taxpayer money is going. And if it weren't for my family telling me about some of this stuff, I wouldn't know anything. So, and I have many friends, and when we get together for whatever it may be, and I tell them some of this stuff, they're like, how do you know this? I don't know anything. How do I know what's going on? No seniors know any of this. How, as a taxpayer and a resident, can I find out what's being taught in the school? How do I know this? How do I know where my school and where my money is going? I think that needs to be addressed. There's a lot of seniors in the community with no children, no grandchildren, but they aren't interested in where their money's going. We need to be informed. Thank you.
Hello, if you guys do not know me, my name is Louis Wabel, and I am a senior at Kinnelon High School. I'm very excited that these standards are hopefully going to get approved tonight. I want to highlight that these standards are going to be more inclusive towards all groups of people, no matter religion, race, sexual preference, identity, etc. I've talked to many of my peers who did not get the same sex education as will be set by the new standards, and the majority of them agree that these standards are important and wish that they had learned them themselves. I heard a comment tonight saying that the school should not have been involved in teaching sex education, and I originally was not going to speak tonight, but that one sort of etched me a little bit. I wholeheartedly disagree with this because some students may not feel comfortable asking their parents about different aspects of sex education. And along with this, when students are uneducated, they have riskier sexual practices leading to an increase in STDs and STIs amongst teens, which can gravely affect someone. And they can also increase bullying. Lastly, I wanted to point out that these standards are about inclusion and acceptance. When kids understand that everyone is able to be themselves or identify as what they want, maybe I would not have been bullied for my sexual preference all throughout middle and high school. I don't want any more students or any group to be bullied like that again, because when people are taught inclusion and acceptance through these standards like gender identity, gender expression, sexual preference, they're taught acceptance, and that would greatly impact the lives of people like me who were bullied. So I know the standards will help that, and I want to thank the Board of Education tonight for approving the mandated state standards. So, good.
Hello, Katie Paul, Beechwood Lane. I just wanted to come up because I am part of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and we have met 3 times over the last 3 weeks, once a week. The last time just being on Tuesday, and I was extremely impressed at the speed that we progressed each week, and considering the situation that you had described with changes in the board and members of the staff and such, I'm not surprised that it came kind of late to others last night, but when I saw it compared to what I just saw on Tuesday, I was like, wow, they've been working 24 hours around the clock. So I think that some people, when you see it the first time, you definitely need time to look through it, and everyone will be given that time. I'm sure that will be explained soon. I truly feel that the administration, specifically Dr. Ashika and Mrs. Mulholland, who we've been working with the last few weeks, have no hidden agenda. They are trying to be as transparent. Nobody wants to teach the children something at an inappropriate time. There's nothing trying to slide under the rug. That's my personal feeling, having spent time with this committee, which also, by the way, I only knew one other person when I first arrived, so it's definitely a mix of parents. It wasn't like, it was me and a bunch of all of my friends. So it was a nice mix of parents from different, students from different schools as well. So, what I'm hearing from some of the other parents is that you're upset, and I am too. There are certain things that I don't agree with, but I'm not going to write the whole thing off, because there are things about acceptance and understanding and safe practices and things like that that I think are important for their kids to hear in general from anybody in their life. If you're upset, read it over, and you have the best option available, and that's the opt-out, because a lot of districts are not offering that. So to me, it's the only way to compromise, that we check the box for the state and you check your box out if you're not comfortable with it. For me, personally, there are some I'm good with, there are some I'm not, right? And that's my choice as the parent. But sitting on the committee and talking about it, I think that we have to do what's best for the town as far as meeting the requirement, but doing it minimally and with an option that if you're not comfortable for a specific thing, you have an option to get out of it. So that's it.
Okay, thank you everybody for your comments. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to move the curriculum, which is number 4 under the Education Committee, to
to the next item, so can I have a motion to move item number 4 to item number 2, the revised curriculum as educated?
So moved.
And a second, okay. All right. All in favor of moving this first so we can discuss this now? Aye. Okay. Okay, so, report of the superintendent, the education committee. David, do you want to take over? We're just going to read, the first one will be the curriculum.
Yeah, so we're just gonna table number 4.
We're gonna move it up to discuss now.
We're gonna read that one
And then-
discuss it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that separately and then you go through the rest of the education committee, okay?
So we're just gonna read it.
Just read it.
Just read it. Kinnelon Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent, approves the revised curriculum as listed in attachment A.
Okay, so can I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second? All right, I second it. Discussion. What do you guys all think?
I don't think we should vote on it tonight.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to table?
Yes.
So,
I'll second that.
okay, Jonathan seconds it? Okay. So, we have a motion to table. It's seconded.
Okay, before we actually vote on it as part of the discussion, do we still need to kind of get it passed by the end of the month? Because we're facing those consequences.
Right, so,
talk about that
first of all, okay, so let's just talk about the tabling. I did, as a backup plan, we did agree, and I sent, I don't know if you saw the email, Mike, that the 28th. Yeah, so the 28th works for everybody, including Jody, Dr. Ashika, and Kyle. I might ask for you to attend as well. So we already had a backup plan that if we decided to table, we would meet on the 28th to vote then. So that's kind of the discussion, to try to still meet the deadline of the 30th. The 28th works the best for everybody. So from the tabling discussion, we do have a backup plan to meet, to reconvene. This gives the community more time to look at it. And then we can publish the meeting and have some more discussions. And we could even have the community advisory committee meet again as well, if we want. Okay. Okay, so is there any other discussion with regards to tabling before we vote on that? No? Okay. Ms. Team, will you call the board on tabling item number?
Good.
Hi everyone, I am Dave Mango, Bubbling Brook Road, so I'm kind of in two worlds right now. I understand the topic and what we're talking about here tonight. My start date won't be until October 24th, but maybe this will help some level of concern because I do understand and hear what everyone's saying. One of the parents that came up here earlier talked about back into the school year. So when I do land, there will be some directives that may actually help and assist the board as they go forward in their process, that when I meet with the administrative team, we're going to hold all the bands, 2nd grade, 5th grade, 8th grade, to the end of the high school, till the springtime. We're going to have curriculum focus group meetings, so parents do have that opportunity, because a lot of what I'm hearing is that it doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on, and I'm not about changing anybody's decisions. But I am in the business of education, and the bottom line is that you have to have a voice in that. And I'm a parent just like you in this town. And I'm sure many of us, while there's some folks that are here in Kinnelon their whole life, a lot of us moved here for one thing, the schools, right? That's why we're here. So this is kind of different for me because last year in the district that I'm about to leave, we didn't have this. We had curriculum focus group meetings, and that's not the fault of the board. I think our public needs to have an understanding that the board's job outside of policy and finances is to ensure that the folks that are in central office are doing what they need to do. So Dr. Ashika and Mrs. Mulholland had a tremendous undertaking, and I can't tell you how incredibly difficult for them to stand up there, because I did that last year with my director and my principals. And that's what we're going to do here. So when I do meet with the administrative team next week, I'm going to have these discussions, and you can guarantee that starting in November, you'll have a curriculum focus group meeting, and before we get to the spring, you will actually see the lessons. So before you opt out, we can have all these discussions. You will be notified, and like Mrs. Mulholland said, I'm easy to find. I don't duck, okay? So I just felt the need sitting here as a citizen, but getting ready to step on, and as a seasoned superintendent myself who lived this, I understand. I also understand when you feel that things, you're not being heard, or that things are being pushed down your throat. I get that. So we're gonna have those conversations, but I hope what I'm sharing here tonight, I know it's a little early, but I don't think so considering the circumstances. So I wanted the board to know that immediately with our public, because you're here. So you need to hear that, please share that with your friends or neighbors or enclaves in the community which you live, okay? And really too, to the board's credit, they have done their job. It's now the people in the positions like Dr. Rashika and Mrs. Mulholland and soon myself, and the rest of the team, to do ours for you and your children, our children.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.